I put up a poll, this is what you voted for, so this is what the video is going to be on. So if you have eyes and you can read titles and look at pictures, today we're looking at a working Etch-A-Sketch I made. This thing is about 30 by 30 pixels and each pixel is like 2 by 2, so this thing is pretty big. And we have our two little knobs, one that moves it horizontally and one that moves it vertically. And then unlike an actual Etch-A-Sketch where you shake it all around to make it reset, we have this little lever. It's kind of boring, but it's the best I could do. So let's just see what happens if we push one of these buttons. So let's say I just push this button, that would move a pixel to the right. We just get a pixel wherever we last cleared the thing wherever we last drew. So there we go, we have a pixel, and let's say we just want to move it to the right. We just press the right and we get a line of 2 pixels like that. There we go. And let's say you want to backtrack, so you go to the left and you want to draw a pixel going upwards, so we go to the second knob over here and we just push this upwards button and we should get something like a little L shape. And there we go, we have an L shape. This thing's also spam proof. Look at this, I'm gonna spam this like a bunch of times, like look at this, spam. I'm clicking very aggressively and it'll just keep making the lines the amount of times you clicked. Also works with the other way. I don't really need to show you, it kind of works the same way. The vertical one is also spam proof, except it won't make a bunch of pixels. It'll only make like 1 pixel, so if I just spam this, doesn't matter how much I spam it, it'll only make like 1 pixel. There we go, and it still works and nothing's broken. So yeah, this is the Etch-A-Sketch. We can make whatever we want. This kind of looks like a sideways music note. There we go. For a second I thought it broke. So yeah, I also didn't show going down. Might as well show going down. So we should get a pixel right there. There we go. So yeah, now we have this little weird symmetrical shape thing. And to clear it, all you have to do is flick this lever and we get a nice good look at the redstone. Look at that. Oh boy. Hopefully that didn't spoil too much. And it is clear. There we go, that's the Etch-A-Sketch. Now before we look at the redstone, I'm gonna look at an older, slightly different design of this. I actually made a video about it a few months ago. Not a few, I think it's almost a year old now. So I'm kinda gonna explain how that version works, explain its parts, because this one is basically the exact same thing, just with a few extra bits. So let's go to that old thing. So around a year ago, I don't really know when I made this video, I made this little mouse display thing, and now that I look at it now, it looks really small compared to the Etch-A-Sketch. So basically it works the same way, kind of. You just move this little 2 by 2 area of lamps around, but it only stays as 1 pixel. And let's say you highlight over one thing like this, you can actually take outputs out of this. So I have an action button, and if you look closely, it will blink. So there we go, it will blink. And if we look in the chest, eventually we'll get a 3rd piston, unless it already dispensed, but we should get a 3rd piston. I'm pretty sure it's not that fast. It's that fast, isn't it? Okay, let me just test this again. Let me remove the pistons just to see how fast it is. Push this, and let's see how fast this thing is. Let's see, when do we get our piston? Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There we go, there's our piston. So yeah, okay, this thing is a lot faster than I thought. But basically how this works is we have this giant cyan AND gate over here, and yeah, that's basically it. So let me further explain that with this little mini version of it. As you can see, there's already a torch on. I should probably turn the inputs off. So there we go. So this is basically the main heart of the circuit. This basically calculates the XY coordinates of the point or the pixel, whatever you want to see. So as you can see, if we kind of like look at it from this angle, all of these torches are turned off. The torches that are like facing us, don't look at those on torches, that's not the output. Like just look at this, all of these torches are on. But if we put in, like let's say we put in a Y coordinate and we put in an X coordinate and we just look in here, as you can see, if we just go to our angle, there we go, that torch has turned on and we can like move it up. So let's say we want to move it up here. Now it's on the top row, and the way it works is that we basically have a giant AND gate. So all of these pieces of redstone dust are turned on except this one. So when we pick a, which one is this? When we pick an X coordinate over here, this will go up the entire torch tower and all of these repeaters will turn off, which will try to turn off this redstone. So let's say I try to click this. It won't turn off the redstone because this is an AND gate. And then our second circuit over here that chooses the Y coordinate, we actually have repeaters going here, going like that, going into these torches under here. So as you can see, this row makes all of these torches turn off. And then there's that one meeting point where the Y coordinate, or the X and the Y coordinate meet, and it actually turns off the piece of redstone and turns on this torch. And it's pretty cool because this is all pre 1.5 stuff, and it's all really densely compacted. Like, that blue circuit is 100% dense, so it's really annoying to debug. Okay, so now we know how we make our XY spot. How do we move it around? Well, we have these shift registers over here. Let me show you the complicated one first. So I don't really know who made this design, but it is basically using torch latches. It just turns it off and then turns the next one on. So if we go down here, we have one button over here and one button over here. This thing is a two-way shift register. So the third repeater is the one that's turned off, and we push this button, and that will move up to the fourth repeater, and we push this button again, and it will move back down. And if we just try to move it all the way to the bottom over here, and if we just try to push it again, it will actually just stay on the bottom. It won't like do some weird thing. Same thing if you go all the way on the top. So don't really know how this one exactly works. So yeah, that's just a shift register. It moves it up and down if you push a button. But the horizontal shift register is actually really simple. So basically we have these little memory cell looking things where it's just a repeater that just constantly powers itself, so it's stuck in an infinite loop. So if we just power one of these cells and we just push one of these buttons over here, there we go, it moves one way, and then we push this button over here. If I can actually push it, it moves the other way. And the way this one works is the pistons will all briefly come down and then come back up, which will turn these line pieces of redstone into dots, and that will actually go through the block, and it will give it enough time to go to the next repeater. And because you cut off the signal, it will actually turn off this current power cell and just move on to the next one. So let's see if we can see that. So yeah, it turned it off and then moved to the other one, and it happens really quickly. And the way you just reset it is if you just, power this for a long time, you power both pistons for a long time, so then the signal just goes all the way through. But what if you get to the end, and how do you make it, not stop and do stuff? Well, basically how you do that is really easy. Just put 2-tick repeater up like that, and then just do that on the other side. So then if you try to push it when the signal is here, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to feed back in itself, and it'll just stay here. So let me just show you. Put a button here. So that cell is on. If we push this button, it will not... Okay, where did it go? Oh, right. Because we did that, we actually have to put more dots of redstone over here because there's nothing to turn into a dot of redstone. So let's try that again. Push that. That turns on. And if we push this button, it'll go to the next cell. And if we just go to push the other button to make it go the other way, as you can see, that repeater turns on. If we try to do it again, that repeater just turns on, and this thing will just stay powered forever, and it just won't turn off. So now that we have our 2 shift registers to move these XY points around, how do we make this little orange display circuit actually make a line? Because currently, this thing only makes a 2x2 pixel thing. So what I had to do is I had to turn that whole thing into a giant T flip-flop. So now let's actually go to the Etch-A-Sketch and show you the changes I had to make. So here's the Etch-A-Sketch, and if we look back here, there's going to be a lot of redstone. Oh my god, look at that. It's probably one of the most satisfying redstone creations to look at over here. So there's actually 2 parts. There's this one part that's actually completely unnecessary. As you can see, we have this giant blue part in the back. We don't actually need that for the Etch-A-Sketch, but if you just look closely where my crosshair is, just above it, there's a redstone torch that's turned on. This is just kind of here if you want to take outputs from the Etch-A-Sketch into other things, but you don't actually need it for the Etch-A-Sketch. But yeah, this thing is humongous, and it's just really densely compact. So here's our little AND gate circuit over here that tells the X and Y coordinate. We have our vertical shift register on the side over here, selecting where the points all of these points over here. So these are the outputs for the shift register, if I can fit these pieces of redstone dust over here. And then the horizontal shift register is down here, and it may look really messy, but that's because we have all of these instant wires to actually make all of these pistons like activate at the same time, because that's kind of a last minute fix I had to do before recording this. But the most major change is this display over here. This orange circuit looks a lot different from the orange circuit we saw in the other one. So let's just say we push a button. I literally have no idea where the pixel's going to be, so let's just push this and see where it is. It's probably going to be in the middle. If it is, it's not going to be easy to explain. So let's just find that pixel among our sea of pixels over here. So if we go over here, as you can see, our output for that coordinate extended this piston, which activated this piece of redstone, and not this line. That's actually a very important part. It did not activate this line because it's being cut off, and actually doesn't show it's being cut off because I world edited all of this. So this will make the piston extend its redstone block, and it will extend that piston with a 2x2 area of slime and blocks, and all of these pistons have a 2x2 area of slime and blocks. That's how we do the output part. But how do we make it not retract when we go past it? Well, that's the really cool thing about having a bunch of these things tied together. So if this thing were to ever like retract like this, as you can see, the piston couldn't retract because there's blocks surrounding it from the surrounding 2x2 cells, so it's just impossible for this to retract. The only way we can make this retract is if we activate every single cell at the exact same time. So let me just show you moving this thing to like the left again. So there we go. So now we're gonna have 2 pixels on our display. So if we just go back to our thing here, so as you can see, this one was the one we had before, but that piston is still there and it's extended, but it retracted, of course. So if you were to go back on that point, it'll extend. It'll try to one tick that and retract it, but it just won't work. But yeah, now we have 2 pixels going like this. So now, how do we reset this thing? Because we have to activate all of these at the same time. Well, let's see. I'm gonna call back to another video. If you've seen my honey block door video, you might recognize this giant water column. We are actually using the bubble column instant wire trick thing, where it activates all of these Oh, that's broken. So anyway, instead of just punching this out and like almost breaking everything, so like I said before, when you make this little thing all bubble columns, it'll activate all of these observers, activating all these 4 ticks, which will activate all of these lines over here. So there's like 3 sections. We have this right section. We also have one of these on the other side doing the exact same thing. All of these pistons activate at the same time. And then we have one in the middle over here. And let's hopefully not break things again. So let's see if I can actually power the reset from the inside. So if I just break that dust so I can cut the signal, it's gonna be really hard to see what's happening. But you'll see that piston retract its soul sand, making all of these bubble columns. You'll see that piston retract its soul sand, and there's also that piston over there. So they'll all retract, and then all of these will activate. So let's just see that moment of glory. So all of these are gonna extend, and all of these are gonna retract, and now I have to put that piece of redstone again, so we have to see it. So it will do the same thing. Instead of retracting the soul sand, it will extend it, but it actually just updates it the exact same instant way. So put this here and just brace my graphics and frame rates, and oh my god, there we go. They all retract, and now we have a clean slate to do other Etch-A-Sketch stuff. So yeah, this video has actually been a lot longer than I thought. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see this for yourself, it is on the Synergy server, which the IP is synergyserver.net. And this is the 5x5 plot. Ooh, maybe I'll make a video on this if you're interested in all of these pretty colors. So if you just do /warp-tp 5x5 plot 2, you'll just see this thing flying in the sky. Or you can go on my 4th plot by just doing /ph lasep4 and you'll find this, and you can use it. But please don't break it, because I don't want to break it. And if I didn't break that water correctly, could have spilled a lot of damage on those 5x5s. So yeah, giant Etch-A-Sketch. Hope you enjoyed. I already said that I'm gonna do the thing that all YouTubers do and do like this and stuff. Okay, goodbye. Maybe I'll make the other topics in the community poll, because I will, because I'll run out of video ideas eventually.